Hi, and welcome to this presentation on EndNote Web. EndNote Web is a website that allows you to manage your references. By creating an account on EndNote Web, you can save your references into one single place to create your own database. EndNote Web allows you to add references to your own account while you are researching, share your references with other users to work collaboratively, create a reference list or bibliography, and finally, insert references in your document as you write. To use EndNote Web, you first need to go to the address access.clarivate.com and then click on Register to create an account. To register, you will need to enter an email address and create a password. Type it twice, enter your first and last name, and click on Register. Once you have entered this information, you need to access the email address you entered in order to activate your account before using it. Once this is done, you can enter your login information, click on Sign In. When you access your account, you'll be able to start saving references and add them to your account. Each new references will appear under My References, like the references I've added previously. The search bar will allow you to search through the references you saved. EndNote Web will allow you to save the information about references, but it won't allow you to save documents automatically, so it will only save the information about the description of the document, but never the document itself. To be able to save references from the library databases, you can easily access under the DataCreek resources the bibliographic databases and then start accessing any databases that are available via EBSCOhost. To access these databases, you'll be prompted to enter your Shibboleth details to log in. Once you're logged in, you can do a search and then start looking at any articles that could be interesting for you. Once you've found relevant articles, you can click on the title and then click on Export. You can then select in the list of reference managers direct export to EndNote Web and then click on Save. This will take you back to your EndNote Web account where you'll see the confirmation that you've exported one reference. You can also save several references at a time by clicking on the folder option at the end of the line. Once you've selected all the documents you want to add, you can go at the top of the page, click on Folder and then click on Export. You can then click on Direct Export to EndNote Web and then click on Save. You will then have imported several references to your EndNote Web account. You can also save references from Google Scholar. To do so, you can start a search and then take a look at the results you found. Once you've found relevant results, you can click on the option and then click on Settings. Then, you'll need to select under the Bibliographic Manager the option Show Links to Import Citations into, and then select EndNote. Once this is done, don't forget to click on Save. You'll now have a new link underneath each result to import into EndNote. Then, you can click on this option, which will download an ENW file, which stands for EndNote Web. To add that ENW file to your EndNote Web account, you need to go back to your EndNote Web account and, under Collect, select Import References. Then, choose the file you saved on your computer. Then, in Import option, select EndNote. You will now select the list you want to import it to, then click on Import. If you don't have a group yet, you can select Unfilled. You will then get a message confirming this reference was imported. This method of saving references can also be used to import references from a database like JSTOR. On JSTOR, just use search, and once you've found the document you want to import, you can click on Cite this item. Now, select Export as a RIS file to save a RIS file, which we'll need then to export into EndNote in a similar way that the ENW file we saved on Google Scholar.